You're 12 years old, standing in a stone corridor beneath the Coliseum, and you can hear 70,000 people screaming above you. The sound comes through the ceiling in waves, anticipation, then roaring approval, then something that might be disgust or might be ecstasy. You can't tell anymore. You've been down here for 8 months, and the sounds have blurred into a constant backdrop to your existence. Your name was Victoria Carnels before they brought you here. You don't know if that name means anything now. Your property of the Imperial Games Administration, catalog number 6847, specialty classification. Exotic provincial display. That's what the brass tag riveted to your collar says. You can't read it, but the administrator told you once, casually, the way someone might tell you the weather. Here's what they don't tell you about the underneath of Rome's greatest architectural achievement. It's not storage for props and scenery. It's a processing facility for human beings. Right now, there are approximately 400 people in these tunnels who will die in the arena above within the next 6 days. Some know it, most suspect it. All of them can do the math based on how they're being fed, how they're being trained, what corridor they're kept in. You're in the juvenile section, which has different rules. Children don't fight animals or gladiators. Children are used for theatrical presentations, for opening ceremonies, for the segments where the crowd needs emotional palate cleansers between the violence. Your entertainment, but a specific kind. The kind that makes Roman citizens feel sophisticated about their empire's reach. The system works like this. Provincial governors across the empire identify children from conquered territories who meet specific criteria: physical appearance that reads as distinctly foreign, young enough to train, old enough to follow complex instructions. These children are transferred to contractors who specialize in preparation for the games. You spent 4 months in a facility outside Rome learning choreography, learning basic Latin commands, learning how to move in formation while wearing costume pieces that weigh more than you do. Then you were purchased by the Imperial Games Administration and brought here to the hypogeum, the network of tunnels and chambers beneath the arena floor where the machinery of spectacle operates continuously. Your daily routine starts before dawn. You wake in a cell with 19 other children, ages 8 to 14, all from different provinces. The girl next to you is from Britannia. The boy across the room is from Syria. You're from Hispania. None of you speak the same native language, so you communicate in broken Latin and hand gestures. You've learned not to form attachments, but you've also learned that isolation is worse than the risk of loss, so you talk to them anyway. The girl from Britannia has a cough that's been getting worse for 3 weeks. You give her part of your water ration. It won't save her, but it means something to both of you. Breakfast is porridge, sometimes with dried fruit if there's a major event scheduled. Today there's fruit, which means something big is happening above. You eat quickly. Eating slowly means someone bigger takes your portion. You learned that the first week. After breakfast, you're taken to the training chamber where you spend 4 hours practicing synchronized movements. Today you're rehearsing a provincial tribute sequence, 20 children representing 20 conquered territories, processing across the arena in costume while a narrator describes Rome's benevolent expansion. You're supposed to look grateful, joyful, honored to be part of the empire. The choreographer is a freedman who was once a dancer. He's not cruel, but he's also not kind. He's efficient. When you miss a step, he corrects you physically, a shove to the correct position, a slap to get your attention. This is normal. This is how you learn. The costume you'll wear weighs 37 pounds. You know this because you heard the wardrobe supervisor complaining about the cost of the dyed fabric. It's meant to represent traditional Hispanian dress, though it looks nothing like what people actually wore in your village. It's a Roman imagination of foreign exoticism, bright colors, excessive jewelry, impractical headpiece. You'll wear it for approximately 12 minutes while walking in a circle around the arena. Then you'll return down here, remove it, and wait for the next performance. But here's what makes the system truly nightmarish. It's not the performances, it's the waiting. You spend maybe 2 hours per week in the arena. The other 166 hours are spent down here, in the tunnels, where the temperature never changes and the smell of human bodies and animal waste is so constant you've stopped noticing it. The hypogeum houses not just performers but also the animals for the hunts. Lions, bears, leopards, bulls, you can hear them. They're in cages 30 feet away. Sometimes you hear them being fed. Sometimes you hear them being moved via the pulley systems that lift them to arena level. Sometimes you hear them killing whatever they've been released to kill. The sound carries. You share space with the condemned. Not the same cells, they're kept separate, but you see them being processed. Men and women who have been sentenced to death via beast, via crucifixion, via gladiatorial execution. They walk past your cell being led to preparation chambers. Some are crying, some are silent, some are praying to gods you don't recognize. You've learned not to look too closely. Looking means remembering, and remembering means carrying weight you can't afford. You're 12. You're already carrying more weight than most adults. The children in your cell turn over regularly. Some are released when they age out of the juvenile aesthetic, too tall, too developed, no longer convincingly childlike. Some are sold to private owners who want trained performers for household entertainment. Some disappear, and you don't ask where they went because the answers are never good. The boy from Syria who slept 2 spaces over from you 3 months ago is gone. Someone said he was sold to a brothel that specializes in provincial exotics. Someone else said he died from infection after a costume accident. You don't know which story is true. You've learned that the truth doesn't actually matter when you have no power to act on it. This is the part they don't mention when they talk about Roman engineering genius. Yes, the Colosseum is an architectural marvel. Yes, the pulley systems that lift scenery and animals are mechanically sophisticated. Yes, the drainage systems that allow the arena to be flooded for naval battles are impressive. But all of that machinery requires human operators. Children who work the cranks for the elevator platforms. Adults who manage the animal cages. Stagehands who move scenery pieces that weigh hundreds of pounds. The spectacle above requires an army of laborers below, and most of them are enslaved. Most of them are expendable. The engineering achievement isn't just the building, it's the logistical system for processing human bodies at scale. You're being trained in a second specialty now. They've started teaching some of the children to operate the mechanical systems. It's considered a privilege. It means you're valuable enough to invest training time in. It means you'll probably survive longer. You're learning how the counterweight systems work, how to coordinate pulley timing with arena cues, how to troubleshoot when something jams. You're good at it, you have steady hands, and you follow instructions precisely. These are survival skills. This is how you become indispensable. The administrator who oversees your section is a man named Marcus Tullius. He's not evil. That's the disturbing part. He's just doing his job efficiently. He makes sure you're fed adequately because malnourished children don't perform well. He makes sure you receive basic medical care because dead children are sunk costs. He even remembers some of your names, which is more than most administrators do. He asked you once where you were from, seemed genuinely interested in the answer, then assigned you to a performance the next day where you'd represent your homeland for the entertainment of people who'd conquered it. He didn't see the contradiction. You did. At night when the games are finished and the arena above is empty, the sounds change. Instead of crowds, you hear maintenance crews cleaning blood off the sand, repairing damaged mechanisms, preparing for tomorrow. You hear other children crying, trying to muffle the sound because crying draws punishment. You hear the animals restless in their cages. You hear your own breathing and wonder how long you can sustain this. Not physically, you're young, you're healthy, you could probably survive years down here. Psychologically, how long before you forget what your mother's face looked like? You're already forgetting. That might be mercy. Remembering hurts worse than forgetting. Here's the mathematics you've learned. The Imperial Games Administration processes approximately 800 to 1,200 performers through the hypogeum annually. Mortality rate varies by category. Gladiators have the highest status and lowest death rate. Condemned prisoners have the highest death rate. Child performers fall somewhere in the middle. You're valuable enough to keep alive, but not valuable enough to receive actual protection. If you get sick, you'll receive treatment only if it's cost-effective. If you become a discipline problem, you'll be sold or transferred to a worse assignment. If you simply outlive your usefulness, if you get too old, too injured, too broken, you'll be disposed of through one of several mechanisms. None of them involve freedom. The girl from Britannia died last night. The cough became pneumonia. She was removed this morning before dawn so the rest of you wouldn't have to see the body. You knew anyway. Everyone knew. Her space in the sleeping arrangement is already occupied by a new boy from Gaul who arrived yesterday. He's terrified. He doesn't speak any Latin yet. You tried to help him understand the basic commands he'll need to survive. You don't know if he understood. You remember being that terrified. It was 8 months ago. It feels like years. You've started having a recurring dream. You're walking through your village in Hispania, but everything is empty. The buildings are there, the streets are familiar, but there are no people. You call out, but your voice makes no sound. You wake from this dream in the stone cell beneath the Colosseum, and for a few seconds you can't remember which reality is real. Then you hear the animals, smell the bodies, feel the stone beneath you, and you remember. This is real. The village is gone. Either it was destroyed or you've been gone so long that everyone has moved on. It amounts to the same thing. During performances, you've learned to split yourself. There's the Victoria who walks in formation wearing the costume, who smiles when cued, who represents conquered peoples gratefully accepting Roman dominion. That Victoria doesn't think or feel, she just performs. Then there's the Victoria who exists in the moments between, who remembers her mother teaching her to weave, who remembers the taste of bread from her village. who understands that she's being used as propaganda to justify the system that enslaved her. That Victoria is dangerous, so you keep her hidden. You've watched what happens to children who resist, who talk back, who try to maintain their original identities too loudly. They disappear. You've learned that survival requires acceptable self-erasure. The system is designed to make you complicit in your own exploitation. You're fed better than many enslaved people because you need to look healthy. You're trained in valuable skills because you need to be competent. You're given small privileges, extra water, occasionally better sleeping position, access to the training equipment. Because privilege creates hierarchy and hierarchy creates competition, and competition prevents solidarity. You understand this, you see how it works. Understanding doesn't give you power to resist it. You're 12. You're alone. You're surrounded by structures engineered over centuries to process people like you efficiently. The Colosseum above you seats 70,000 people. It's a monument to Roman power, Roman engineering, Roman civilization. Tourists centuries from now will visit it and marvel at the architecture. They'll imagine gladiators and ancient spectacle. They won't think about the 400 people currently living in the tunnels beneath, won't calculate how many children like you were processed through this building during its operational lifetime, won't consider the invisible labor that made the visible spectacle possible. The building will outlast you by 2,000 years. Your name won't be recorded in any archive. The catalog number riveted to your collar will eventually be reassigned to someone else. But you're still here right now. You're still breathing. The girl from Britannia isn't, but you are. That has to mean something, even if you can't articulate what. You've learned to measure survival in small units, making it through today, getting enough food, avoiding punishment, maintaining enough humanity to still feel something when another child dies. These are low bars, but they're your bars. You're 12 years old, living beneath Rome's greatest architectural achievement, part of a state-sponsored system for converting conquered children into propaganda performances. And you're going to survive today because the alternative is unthinkable, and you've learned to think only as far ahead as the next meal, the next performance, the next sunrise you might see if they take you above ground for a dawn rehearsal. If you want to understand how civilizations actually function, how spectacle gets produced, how power maintains itself, follow the infrastructure. Follow the supply chains. Follow the invisible labor. That's where the truth lives. Hit subscribe on Myth-Busting if you want more investigations into the historical realities that traditional narratives prefer to keep buried. We're not here to make history comfortable. We're here to make it honest. What historical system should we examine next? What monument should we look beneath? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep uncovering what's been hidden in plain sight.